Oh, hi. Hi, lovely to see you, Detective. You'll be getting a subpoena soon. I have these excellent new attorneys, and they found possible evidence tampering in my case.
You can't just come in here and bulldoze me, Emily. I'm not as nice as I used to be.
Oh, sweetie, you were never nice. You were just afraid to be mean.
Okay, then I'm less afraid.
Perfect, then prove it. I'll see you 9 a.m. Wednesday, my fiance's private plane.
Oh, and if you don't come, I'm gonna have to sue you into oblivion for using my name and likeness without my express written consent.
Hi, besties. It's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. I'm a little bit early this morning, but I got a present in the mail via FedEx this morning. It's a letter from the attorneys of Stephanie Jones asking me to remove a video about her because apparently I am defaming her because I stated that Tom Brady has chosen to end his relationship with JonesWorks, and that JonesWorks has next to no clients because longtime clients have seen what Miss Jones has been doing to Justin and Jen Abel and ended their relationships with JonesWorks. That was what was heard. That was the allegation. You state that Stephanie is responsible for smearing Blake Lively, betraying her former employee Jennifer Abel. This claim is demonstrably false. You state that JonesWorks' lawsuit against Miss Abel has enabled Stephanie Jones to destroy her competition and retaliate against her employee. Well, I think the allegation in that came from a lawsuit by Wayfair, but you know what? I'll explain all of that to you in a second because we're going to just review the response that Wayfair had to their motion to dismiss because Wayfair is actually suing Stephanie, and so is Jen Abel. You describe Miss Jones as so cutthroat that she would lie for anyone, backstab, and commit perjury. I think cutthroat might be, I don't know, isn't that like an opinion? Each and every one of these statements is false and defamatory. Miss Jones and JonesWorks have attained their high level of success because they consistently act with the utmost integrity, and their recent litigation was initiated for the reasons clearly set forth in the complaint against Miss Abel and others. Okay, so Stephanie Jones acts with integrity and she's a great businesswoman. Okay. And my intent here is making these statements apparently, which is only the latest in my pattern. Oh, okay. I have a pattern of defaming and harassing people online, and it's to damage her business. And it's consistent with my well-documented pattern that has resulted in numerous lawsuits against me. And apparently because 2 of my cases settled, that means that these matters are telling and reflect the indefensibility of your statements. Okay. So my lawsuits that settled actually settled without any monetary exchange, and no defamation was found in either case. That was the settlement. Tati Westbrook's attorney actually went public and said that no defamatory statements were made by me. That's what they said. And my other lawsuit that settled was the same thing. No money, no liability. It was literally just a mutual. We're going to withdraw these cases because you didn't defame us. Okay. And I'm going to remove that video. And I must cease and desist from any further false statements regarding Jones or JonesWorks. Okay. So apparently I have numerous blatant, flagrant, false, and defamatory statements. Guess she says that Tom Brady is still her client. Well, I guess in the future, if we see that Tom Brady is no longer her client, we'll know if what I said was true or not, or what was said to me and the information provided. But she denies that clearly. She says they have not. The information I was provided mentioned a 60-day period, basically like 60 days notice. And so I did a search on that to see if this is something that happens in PR agencies. And it does say that there is standard clauses commonly in the world of public relations that include 60 or 90-day cancellation clauses in their contracts. And it's standard to protect cash flow and allow for smooth transitions of work when a client terminates the agreement. The clause is not considered a cooling off period, but rather a termination clause requiring a specific notice period. A cancellation clause specifies how either party can terminate the contract, including the notice period, potential penalties, and any transition requirements. Why 60-day notice might be relevant is it that it allows the PR agency and the client the time to prepare for the transition, whether it's to find a new agency or handling PR responsibilities internally. It helps with financial planning. It helps the agency manage its cash flow and resources as it provides. It's a project completion handover. It allows time to wrap up ongoing projects. So I don't know, maybe there's a 60-day cooling off period, or not cooling off, a period where it's going through transition. And so she's still his agent right now, or, publicist right now. So interestingly, it's interesting to get a cease and desist. It's honestly just sometimes a Tuesday in my life. I'm honestly just amazed she knows who I am. I mean, maybe I should feel happy that they know who I am, or I don't know. But, what is interesting to me about this is that in one of the comments, it says cutthroat, and cutthroat is actually what they would call hyperbole. It's an exaggeration. It's a word that's used to like describe someone. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, plenty of people can be cutthroat. And something about she states that Jonesworks' lawsuit against Jen Abel has enabled Stephanie Jones to destroy her competition and retaliate against an employee. Well, you know what? Let's talk about that, because there's this lawsuit that was filed in federal court, and there's a bunch of text messages between Jennifer Abel and Melissa Nathan. Now, Jonesworks, she has shared some of these in her lawsuit. Wayfair claims that the way that she's being sharing these have lack context. And context is super important in the court, because if you don't have the full context of a statement, it can be considered hearsay. So text messages have to be authenticated in the court. They also have to go through the process to make sure that the evidence was obtained through a legal process and abided by the rules of the federal court. And that's where they have some questions. I mean, Wayfair's making some serious allegations against Stephanie about the phone, right? And so on the timeline of relevant events, it says on August 8th, Sloan has a text conversation, Leslie Sloan, with a Daily Mail reporter who spoke to Jones. Okay, that's what they wrote. This is in the timeline of relevant events, which is a court record. And it says Jones, acting independently, had reached out to Daily Mail, seemingly on her own initiative and in direct disregard for Heath's previous request to say nothing. And Leslie says to the reporter, thank you, who is Steph's team? And the Daily Mail reporter said, whoever launched this BL smear campaign on Melissa, it's probably Steph, because Justin's rep is leaving Steph in 2 weeks. Apparently, an expose is coming out on Stephanie Jones. And then Leslie says, well, who hates Blake at Daily Mail? They are mean to her. And they replied, someone in LA seems to. These are all coming out of the LA office. And Leslie says, who? And the reporter says, I've never met anyone in our LA office. They run as a separate company and are constantly ducking us over because they never contact reps, and it's blamed on us. Side note, every reporter has Daily Mail as their name on articles. Like I said, the reporting, there are issues between her and Justin as well as others, and that Justin found it difficult to work with her. One of these reporters known is close with Stephanie Jones because they used to always get flop, and Steph reps him, I believe. I told them she is awful and to not rely on anything she says. So that's what a Daily Mail reporter told to Leslie Sloan. So those are not my words. And then Leslie replied, I'm telling you, she's a liar. They are panicking as the whole cast hates him. I promise you she is lying. This will not look good for your site. The entire cast I have will go on record. And then the reporter says, can you give me anything at all on what the issue is? So according to these text messages, these occurred on August 8th, and the conversation is clear that the reporter is saying that Stephanie Jones provided information to the Daily Mail about Blake, and it was that there were issues between her and Justin as well as others, and that Justin found it difficult to work with her. I mean, that information is apparently about Blake being difficult on set. And then they write, as discussed here and above, in early August 2024, Jones inserted herself into the situation, attempting to sideline Nathan and Abel. The issue, however, was that Jones had deliberately distanced herself from Wayfair leadership's communications strategy and internal decision making, citing her focus on higher profile clients. Wayfair had no objection to Jones' disengagement, as Abel was their trusted advisor, and they had no interest in becoming entangled in JonesWorks' internal politics. Furthermore, Jones had been on a family vacation during the critical period of the press campaign and film premiere. Despite her physical distance, her attempts to intervene were clumsy, unwelcome, and sporadic. As she tried to create drama and undermined Abel's authority, Wayfair and Baldoni remained focused on managing the crisis at hand. And then they claim that anticipating Abel's imminent departure from JonesWorks, Jones set a disorganized strategy outlined and includes a veil threat to Wayfair. Well, let's look at what Stephanie sent to her. So this is an email dated on August 14th. She says, "Hi, Jamie. I have been standing down and have not contacted any press at all regarding any of these Justin issues since they arose on Thursday of last week while I was on family vacation in Europe. I wanted to take a moment to reiterate my commitment to Justin and our work together. Over the past 8 years, I have successfully managed every crisis for Justin without any negative press coming to light. And as a key member of both Justin and Wayfair's accounts since we signed him, I believe if one of our team members, including me as a key man on Justin's account, can rectify a story, it's essential we leverage that for Justin and Wayfair. While my background isn't solely in crisis management, I have an extensive experience representing our billionaire clients, many of the biggest stars and athletes in the world, as well as many of our Fortune 50 founder clients. This experience has equipped me with the skills necessary to navigate complex situations effectively, often more diligently than the crisis PR firms we've worked with in the past." So her strategy for Wayfair was to flood the zone with positives. We need to ensure that we promote positive narratives that media outlets cannot ignore. Currently, most stories are heavily biased towards Blake's perspective, leaving Justin unrepresented. It's crucial that we fight for every inch of every story, which requires far more effort than typical crisis PR want to put forth in our experience working with specialized crisis teams. So she wanted to flood the zone with positive stories and make sure that Justin's side was represented in all of these leaks. Okay. She also wanted to prepare alternate stories. It says we should mobilize a robust network of supporters and third-party advocates ready to counter these narratives on deep background, as well as some on the record, making it clear that the claims being made are untrue and unfounded. Okay, and deep background. So she wanted people to put out alternate stories to what Blake was saying about what happened on the set, which was, I think, from my understanding, not what Jamie and Wayfair wanted to do. They didn't want to plant anything, but that's what they claim. And she says, as you know, I've been on vacation in Europe with my entire family. I'm attached my Verizon call log from last week in response to your claim that someone at Sony suggested I called the Daily Mail and escalated things. I can confirm that I did not make or receive any calls from Daily Mail. The number I thought I returned call was regarding our client blank from Daily Mail's cell phone number is noted in her email. And you can cross-reference this against my call log for verification that she did not call me, nor did I call her. Studios often look for leaks, which is why, per Jen Abel's text to all of us, the Sony president first texted Jen Abel and in her words, accused her of leaking information to the Daily Mail. He then texted me shortly thereafter, and I asked that you please refrain from using me as a scapegoat for leaks that are clearly originating from elsewhere. So she was claiming that these leaks were coming from like Jen or Melissa. I think that's what she's implying. That's my guess. And then it says, I'm ready, willing, and able to fulfill my client's duties to support Justin per our contract, which concludes May 2025. I can add tremendous value to our efforts, and I hope you will reconsider my involvement. So it looks like she wanted to remind them that they are still under contract with her until 2025, which actually, under that current contract, their contract would be over. So I wonder, maybe Tom's contract is just coming up. So maybe he didn't fire her. Maybe he's just going to move on. I don't know. She says it's not true, but like I said, I got this from someone really inside Tom's circle. So I don't know. maybe Tom and Stephanie should have a conversation, or Tom and his people should talk to Stephanie. They could have a conversation, but Stephanie again says that Tom still works for her. But technically speaking, if someone just ends their contract, they wouldn't be firing her. Just another thought, maybe. I don't know. And then they got another text, apparently, because someone on the set came forward. Then there are some text messages between Jen and Justin. And it gets really interesting because I think it's on August 21st. Yes. Okay. Jen Abel shares these in text messages that are between her and someone at Jones Work. So it looks like it's the chief of staff. And it says, "Hi, I just removed you from the aliases a few minutes ago. You're still on Justin, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not sure what you mean by protecting yourself, as the teams have been actively covering the accounts and handling all day-to-day operations and client interactions. Part of our timing on when to do communications with clients is guided by our collective decisions as a team. We discussed sharing news with the clients on Monday, August 19th. That's interesting. So it sounds like JonesWorks had a really big team background when they worked with clients. So I wonder if there were other people at JonesWorks that were part of Justin's team that are not being sued. I still can't understand why Jen Abel's the only one being sued by Blake. I don't understand that because she worked at JonesWorks, right? And it says that that that's not true, but that's okay. I really have respect for you and know what you have to deal with because you've shared that with me, but I'm also a real person and there's no job worth treating someone disrespectfully. I'm back in town on Monday and I need to get my number back and pay for my device. So let's handle it then." And then they were talking about how they were going to switch the phones. And so Jen was adamant that Miss Jones and her company were telling her that she could have her phone number released to her because it was the phone number she had since she was a kid, and that she would then be able to transfer all of her data because she had no intention of leaving her cloud on the phone. I think maybe Jen just might not have realized that if you just log out of your Apple ID and give the phone back, then she wouldn't have had access to some of that stuff. But she also wasn't a very experienced Apple user. And then the response was, "I'm not trying to be disrespectful, Jen. If you feel disrespected, then I apologize. Regarding your phone, we can give it back to you your last week." So they can give her back the phone. Okay, so can we please handle switching my phone over today? I'm having to fly home now on Friday. Today is really my only day. So they were trying to switch it before her last day so that she could just hand over the physical device. But it sounds like there was just crossed wires. Okay, so this is actually what Jen says happened. So she says Stephanie Jones told me that Jen was enabled Stephanie Jones to destroy her competition and retaliate against her employee, and that she is responsible for smearing Blake Lively. Okay, so the allegation I just shared with you was that they have screenshots of a reporter giving negative information or claiming negative information was provided to them by Stephanie Jones. That's their allegation. That's what the reporter told Leslie Sloan. There you go. So I guess smearing is the wrong word. Is negative information better, or other details, or alternative stories? Is that what we should call it? Okay, we'll call it an alternative narrative. So according to Jen, she pulled up to JonesWorks' office. She's confronted by an imposing security guard. Apart from Jones' chief of staff, she's never seen any of them before. She's ushered into a conference room. The security guard is posted just outside its doors, blocking the exit. In a menacing, cold tone, the attorney points to the documents and tells Abel to review and sign them. The attorney claims that JonesWorks believes she had proprietary information on her laptop and has the grounds to sue if Abel does not allow them access. Okay, that sounds uncomfortable, but completely caught off guard by this hostile and intimidating display, she falls into a state of shock. She has never experienced anything like this and does not know what to do. Fearful that she will burst into tears and humiliate herself, which she knew that's what Jones wants, Abel disassociates, knowing that she has not done anything wrong and desperate to get out of there. Abel signs the documents without digesting their contents, and the lawyer demands that Abel hands over her personal laptop. She complies. They run something and they say that nothing was found. They then come back and claim that they found 10 documents and accusing her of having stolen information. She denies it. And then they do a further search and they find nothing. She's then instructed to hand over the phone. And then she's told that she'll be escorted out of the building. And according to Abel, She only agreed to hand over the phone as long as they will confirm that she will immediately release the phone number and it would enable her to get a new phone. And then apparently they told her to go to Verizon and they have like a text message and it says, Steph, this is Jen, my new cell. I'm writing you both as a personal plea to please release my cell phone. This is the same number I've had since high school. This isn't a work related thing. This is my personal number that is linked to all of my bills, my medical, Chris's dad's living facility, all of my personal emails and accounts. And due to two-factor authentication, I can't access anything. You wrote me numerous times you were going to release this. And then when Verizon was calling you during the 4 hours I was there yesterday, you never picked up. They said you never even started the process after you told me you did. The lawyer I was ambushed with yesterday even said that this was fine to do. I'd been nothing but good to you both, but this is just mean and egregious, and I'm begging you to please release it before I travel tomorrow. Please, you have no use for a 904 phone number. And so they claim that on the same day that Abel's phone is seized by her employer, Stephanie Jones, she receives a call from Leslie Sloan telling her that she has seen the text and that she will be sued. And then they show a call log. Okay, interesting, right? Now, I don't know if that would be called cutthroat. I don't know. Or backstabbing. I don't know. And I don't know if that would actually be, uh, enabling Stephanie Jones to destroy her competition, retaliate against her employee. Oh, you know where that part is? That's in Jen Abel's counterclaims. We should get there. So earlier this week, Jennifer Abel responded to Stephanie's motion to dismiss. So Stephanie filed a motion to dismiss on Jen Abel's claims and says that all of this is a fantastical story and it's false, and that none of this is true, and that basically Jen is lying about everything, and that all of this is being created as a way to cover for the fact that she smeared Blake Lively and, retaliated against her. Justin's amended complaint that he filed way back in like January goes into pretty good detail about what he thinks about Stephanie Jones. And, these are claims that are coming from multiple people that had to work with her. And if you cross reference it against that article that was with Business Insider, where the Business Insider article about Stephanie, they claimed that they talked to dozens of people associated with her. Now, Stephanie denies all the allegations that Business Insider made, right? But in the amended complaint that's filed, not even against Stephanie Jones, she's not involved in this lawsuit, but what her behavior during this time period is at issue in this case. And they allege that in their document that says Jones also pried into her employees' private lives without invitation. When employees called in sick, Jones would FaceTime them to confirm they were actually sick. They claim this is what was in the Business Insider article. They alleged that turnover rates were very high at this place. Turnover rates were high at Jonesworks. They alleged that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson dropped Jonesworks after clashes between Jones and Johnson's team. Jonesworks had handled Johnson's personal PR as well as that of his production company, Tequila Brand Clothing Company, and business partner, Danny Garcia. This was a big loss for Jones and one that she kept under wraps from media in order to leverage opportunities for other clients. The same year, Jones was also dropped by Bezos, so Jeff Bezos from Amazon, Lauren Sanchez, which was his fiance, Lainey Wilson, Chris Helmsworth, Wheels Up, Ocean Spray, and Partake Foods. So according to their claims, that is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Bezos 2, Sanchez 3, Lainey Wilson 4, Chris Helmsworth 5, Wheels Up 6, Ocean Spray 7, and Partakes Foods 8. 8 clients that left in the span of a year. So I guess, is it that I should say that there's next to no clients? I mean, I don't know. How many clients do they have? They do have some. I mean, Venus Williams is still her client, and Russell Wilson and Zach Brown. I mean, she doesn't have no clients. She also has this rapper singer from Brazil. I'm not familiar with his name. There's like someone that's from reality television, someone that is connected to the Obama administration. I can't remember who. I mean, she has some clients. And she's got a professional football player, Caleb Williams, and a professional tennis player. So she has clients, but it sounds like she's lost a significant amount of clients. Would that have been better for me to have said? but it does sound like there's some struggles here going on in the company. I mean, and I think it was her attorneys that were speaking to Billy Bush, and they did say that, her business was struggling and that, they were trying to protect her business because she's been in the middle of just bad media and press. And so they needed to come out and, speak. And they did that after the Van Zandt lawsuit was exposed. So when I exposed the Van Zandt subpoena, oh my God, is this why they're coming for me? Is it because I found the lawsuit? Do you remember the lawsuit, the Van Zandt lawsuit? So on April 15th or so, I discovered that there was this lawsuit that was filed by Van Zandt Inc., which is a company that operates out of New York. It's owned by Blake Reynolds and Ryan Reynolds. And it was this just generic lawsuit suing no one, alleging breach of contract and retaliation of like trying to smear someone's reputation. It had nothing to do with sexual harassment or sexual assault. It was all about like an ex-employee or an ex-contractor of someone that they were working with that destroyed them by releasing information. And then according to Blake Lively's attorneys in a statement to Deadline, they said that the subpoena for Jen Abel's phone was issued through that lawsuit, right? And they also said that they justified it and said it was lawful. Now, his side, Justin's side, and Jen's side has said that that's not a lawful subpoena. They've called it an abusive process. They're alleging that that fraud was committed. They're claiming there could be possible criminal acts that were done with that subpoena. They're claiming that because Blake sued no one, they're alleging it was an end around to get access to information without having to notify Abel or Justin Baldoni. And their allegation is that this was done because Jones had given private information, confidential information to Leslie Sloan and Blake Lively, right? Before and in violation of a confidentiality agreement, a breach of contract, let's just say, and that they needed a veneer of legitimacy. So they were going to launder the evidence through this fake subpoena, and then that fake subpoena got them the evidence that they needed. But Jen Abel and Justin Baldoni were never notified, which it's a right of every citizen that they're notified if their content and their data is going to be, released. And interestingly, Stephanie Jones is now saying that she won't hand over information about her employees or what happened with Edgeworth security related to Jen Abel's phone or information about Jen Abel's employment because she doesn't want to violate Jen's privacy. But then she also handed over everything to Jen Abel's phone to Blake Lively. So I did say that I thought it was rather hypocritical of her to not be concerned about her privacy with Blake Lively, but was also concerned about Jen Abel's privacy now. But Wayfair says that Jones was in a downward spiral. She harbored serious concerns about Jones' mental health. She'd become increasingly erratic, calling and FaceTiming Abel at all hours of the night in a frenzy state, overtly pitting employees against each other and attempting to catch them in perceived acts of disloyalty. Jones informed Abel charges that she had learned from a psychic reading that Abel was an alcoholic and a gambling addict. That was not true. Apparently, Jones also intended to undermine her credibility, and she actually undermined her own and raised significant concern among the Jones Works staff about her mental stability. She also announced, per her psychic, that Abel would soon be pregnant with twins, which was humiliating for Abel because she had struggled with her own fertility issues. She apparently had her husband contact Jen's boyfriend. She says that Jones took the news poorly when Jen quit, and she swung from extreme to extreme, 1 minute desperately attempting to convince her to stay, and the next berating her and cutting her out. They claim Jen tried to remain, cordial with her. I mean, Jen even has a text message here that she sent to someone, to another employee, and it's someone that works at Jones Works, and it says, "Okay, I didn't mean to put you guys in a weird spot. Sorry about that. Just wanted to ask. Just know that whatever she's telling you guys about me or what I've done, it's not true. I've enjoyed working with you both and wish you nothing but the best." And the employee responded, "Unfortunately, your company phone says otherwise." So apparently, Jen's saying that these employees saw the contents of her phone and was provided to them by Stephanie. They also allege that in or around early September 2024, Jones warned a departing employee not to work for Able because her business wouldn't be around much longer. Huh. That actually kind of sounds like she might be trying to destroy her competition. I mean, that's the allegation, and it almost sounds like she's retaliating against her employee. And Jen's own lawsuit against Stephanie is basically saying that she's being sued by Stephanie as a byproduct of her discharge of her work at Jones Works. It's a retaliation. I mean, that's just another way, in my opinion, to say that it's a retaliatory like lawsuit. Like, I'm being sued because I was fired, or I'm being sued because I quit. I guess I should just say discharge instead of retaliation. Jen's lawsuit alleges that she doesn't love journalists. Like, Stephanie doesn't like journalists, and she particularly likes to troll somebody that's at Puck News named Matthew. And, I was looking at an article that they did in August of last year called Who's Afraid of Stephanie Jones? And it clearly states in here that people didn't want to go on the record because they were, as it was alleged, frightened of her. One person was suspicious that Jones had hired people to pose as reporters to find out who would talk negatively about them. And I just figured something out, and I don't know if anyone's talked about this, but Scooter Braun, who was a manager that was like in charge of Justin Bieber and Ariana Grande, and he bought the Masters connected to Taylor Swift. His publicist for a very long time was Stephanie Jones. And I don't know if he's with her anymore, because it says in this article, Scooter Braun, who's managed artists including Justin Bieber and Ariana Grande, has been Jones's client for more than a decade. But his business that he owns, one of his companies that he owns, is repped by TAG, which is the agency that's owned by Melissa Nathan. So she's suing Melissa Nathan and Jen Abel, who are her competitors. And maybe it seems like Scooter was with one point with her, right? And was another point is with Melissa. And the Daily Mail reporter in the text messages to Leslie felt like it was Stephanie that was starting a smear campaign against Melissa because Jen was going to be leaving and because she didn't like Melissa. I don't know. But Scooter Braun is now one of his companies is repped by Melissa. So she is suing her competition. So to me, it looks like, in my opinion, that there's some fights about, maybe trying to take out your competition or sue your competition. I guess it's all opinion about how you would phrase that. In the Business Insider, it says, when employees did leave, Jones did not always let them go easily. 2 former employees who were at Jones Works in the past 2 years received threatening legal letters, which were viewed by Business Insider, warning them not to disparage Jones Works or share confidential client information after they quit. The employees had signed NDAs upon hiring. One of the employees said that the letter demanded that she sign it, and that person's lawyer told her to ignore it and said it's a bully letter. They're bullying you. And Jones Works said that the firm sent legal letters to former employees who were breaking their confidentiality agreements. So she's here in this article saying that she has confidentiality agreements. She's telling her ex-employees not to break confidentiality agreements. But she broke a confidentiality agreement. That's the allegation with Jones Works between Jones Works and Baldoni. I mean, wouldn't it be a confidential agreement if wouldn't it be a violation of that agreement if you handed that information over to Blake Lively or Leslie Sloan in August? So she was allegedly threatening these employees, and they said that they did send it, but it was because they were violating that. And apparently when it comes to clients like terminating their contracts with her, she is known to downplay it, apparently. So it says, after Johnson left, Jones tried to downplay his exit to her employees, according to a former executive. People will ask what happened to The Rock. She said to them, oh, he's just having internal changes. We're best friends. We still talk every day. He's dying to come back and work with me, but he's just doing internal things. And Wayfair alleges that she downplays when people leave because she uses and leverages her clients to get other clients stuff, I guess. That's the allegation by Wayfair. Like, she doesn't want to tell people these things, allegedly, because she can get and leverage information to people for her. And when it comes to Tom Brady, this is what they wrote. 3 former staffers said Jones told her employees and potential clients that JonesWorks managed Brady's social media. In a JonesWorks pitch deck from earlier this year, a version of this was viewed by Business Insider. It says, JonesWorks has brought on to handle strategic communications, manage Tom's brand partnerships and social media, and work closely with his own businesses and partners. This included, per the deck, strategizing and executing posts on Brady's Instagram account. But the former staffers said that JonesWorks didn't have logins to many of his accounts, including Instagram. Shadow Lion, a creative agency co-founded by his longtime manager, oversaw Brady's social media strategy, they said. Shadow Lion declined to comment. However, its website says it has directed Brady's social channels since 2014. JonesWorks representative denied any tension on the Brady account. They added that JonesWorks launched Brady on Twitter and on TikTok. So it sounds like these questions about how involved she is with Tom Brady have been an ongoing thing for years. And I did look some of this up, and his business manager, his name is Benjamin Rawitz, and he co-founded Lion Creative Studio. And he says that he works directly with Tom Brady and that they do his managing his personal business and personal ventures, and a trusted advisor and friend. So it sounds like Shadow Lion is a full service creative studio that takes a holistic 360-degree approach to content strategy, production, branding, and social media. They help top tier talent. And so they say that they're handling Tom Cruise or Tom Brady, not Jones. But back in August of 2024, there was questions around that relationship. So is this what's happening here? Is she, reluctant to reveal this? Listen, I don't care if Stephanie has 1 million clients, I would honestly hope that everyone involved in this situation would find a way to resolve it, right? I would also hope that if the allegations are false, as she claims, that, it can be proven in court. But the facts are there's a lot of people here that are on record with Business Insider, but they refuse to say their names because they're afraid of her. And there's people getting threats and journalists getting threats and bullying. That's their words in this article. And I wonder, did she threaten Business Insider, or did Business Insider not get sued because they included her information? Listen to this. Apparently, in March of 23, she went after Matthew Belloni, experienced the Stephanie Jones treatment firsthand after publishing a story about a film Lauren Sanchez had secretly produced in the summer of 2022. He reported that the crew members were disgruntled that Sanchez was staying in a relatively lavish trailer while others dealt with sweltering conditions and inedible craft services, that several key members quit, and after Sanchez decided the film needed a new twist. Belloni said Jones declined to comment before the story was published. I thought I treated her with respect like I do with most PR people when they treat me with respect. But the next day, he was shocked to see a Page 6 story that cited a source who knows Sanchez calling the Puck report sexist, and Belloni said that he believed the story came from Jones. This was her lashing out at me because of the coverage unfavorable to her client. And JonesWorks said that reporters give as good as they get. She's also a Southern and loud, and she tells every employee this when she interviews them and every client when she meets them. And that I came up in the industry under some of the toughest, most notorious publicists in the industry, where they wore the reputation like a badge of honor, said someone who had worked at JonesWorks in a senior position. I don't think that flies anymore. Well, I guess I should be honored that she's threatening me. It says that they reserve all rights and they demand that I cease and desist my defamation of her. But I just want to reference something. It's really awful because she does mischaracterize that swift settlements of my matters are telling and reflect the indefensibility of your statements. Settlement agreements are confidential, but when Tati Westbrook and I settled, we were public about it and no defamation occurred. It wasn't a swift settlement, though, by the way. My lawsuit was actually dismissed. And then months later, we went through mediation. And at that point, through the mediation process, we all learned that I didn't defame them. So I don't know. And then I helped her in a lawsuit with a former business partner of hers. And as far as 7M Films, I mean, are you going to defend a man that's being accused of human trafficking? And as far as the other person that you're mentioning, that also settled. But it wasn't because I did anything indefensibly. In fact, no money has exchanged hands ever. And the resolution was for all parties, meaning I countersued them and the lawsuits were dropped from both sides. And at that time, that person went to prison. I didn't defame them. And much of the information I reported was part of that trial, which is still a public record, even though they've been pardoned. So just because you settle a lawsuit does not mean that it was indefensible. The same could be said for Stephanie is if you decide to settle, Stephanie, can I then say it's indefensible for what you've done because you settled? The quick settlement with that other account wasn't quick either. That case was in my life for like 2 years. And the Tati Westbrook wasn't a quick settlement either. That case did not settle until like a year later. And the Robert Shin case is still ongoing. And I refuse to settle because I didn't do anything wrong. And getting sued doesn't mean you've done anything wrong, which again, all the allegations against Stephanie are allegations. Until a judge or a jury decides, they're all allegations. But you can look at what's given and make your decision and decide what you think. And I don't think that I believe a lot of what she says. And that's my opinion. I have a tendency to believe the former employees, and I have a tendency to believe that Jen Abel has claims against her. And I tend to believe that Wayfair has grounds against her. And I tend to believe that that lawsuit, that sham lawsuit, is why she is sending me this letter. And that's my opinion. Why else would she care? I mean, Tom Brady, if Tom moves on sometime, it's okay. We all have differences of opinions. And if he's still with you, great. I hope everything's fine. But I'm not defaming anyone. I'll tell you that. Not defaming anyone. And I don't want to be silenced by anyone. I just think it's interesting that now I'm the target. Blake is still going after Shasti and trying to claim Shasti is part of the smear campaign, and we know she's not. And now I'm being targeted for reporting about claims that are made in lawsuits, and I'm defaming someone, reporting on claims that happen in lawsuits. So what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. Tell me what your thoughts are. I did remove those videos at her request, but I do stand by my reporting. What are your thoughts? Tell me in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed and click the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye guys.